divisions. Okay, first the gross anatomy, which is the macroscopic, anything that you can see through your eyes. And second division is the histology, which is the microscopic, okay, that you can view under the microscopic, anything that you can't view through your eyes. Okay, but you don't have to worry for this semester and for this anatomy along the semester 1, you will only focus on the gross anatomy. Okay, but sometimes I will just included some of the histology aspect, but just a little part. Okay, just for biomedical science students, you will learn more on the histology part in your second semester, but not on the NNPD students. Okay, all right. So now we will learn about the anatomical terminology, alright? So we will cover on the superficial, the terminology used in the superficial anatomy, okay, the surface anatomy, right? Okay, first, you need to know the anatomical position, alright? What is anatomical position? Okay, this picture here show you what is anatomical position looks like, okay, when hands at sides, palms facing forward. Okay, this is the anatomical position. And the two more anatomical terminology, when you are lying down and your face facing up, this position, the terminology is called supine. While the opposite of supine is prone, which is while you are lying down and your face facing down. Okay, so these are all the basic terminology for superficial anatomy. Okay, moving forward. So in this lecture, I will focus on the three aspects. Okay, we will cover only the superficial anatomy, which is the surface anatomy, anything on the surface of human body. First, I will cover the terminology related to the directions. Okay, second, terminology on anatomy landmarks. And third, all terminologies in anatomical regions, right? Okay, first we start with the direction. Okay, what are the terminologies that you use to explain the direction, okay, related to the human body? All right, first terminology is superior. Okay, I'm sure you know already in outside world when we said superior mean above. Right, when your boss, you call your boss superior. So definition here in anatomy terminology, superior means upper part of a structure or above. Right, so this is the example on how you can use this terminology, superior. Okay, the head is superior to the abdomen. Okay, means the head is above the abdomen. Right, so opposite to superior is inferior. So the terminology to explain the lower part of a structure or to explain the below part, you can use the terminology inferior. Okay, so after this, in anatomy class, if you want to explain something, you don't mention below anymore. You can mention inferior because you are in the health science faculty, so you use this terminology. Okay, and the example that you can use this sentence. Inferior in the sentence is the navel is inferior to the chin. Okay, so there are more examples, but I show you one example here on how you can explain this terminology. Okay, another terminology is to explain the directions is anterior. Okay, anterior or ventral means at the front. Okay, while the opposite of anterior is posterior or dorsal, okay, meaning at the back. All right, so anything that is at the front, okay, example here, the heart is anterior to the spine. Okay, you know the heart is anterior to the spine, so means the heart is at the front of the spine. Okay, so posterior is opposite to the anterior, means at the back. You switch the location, it becomes posterior. All right. Terminology is medial. Okay, medial means at the midline of the body. Okay, medial. Okay, midline. Okay, while lateral means away from the midline of the body. So you know the midline here, this is the line here. Anything that is away, going away from the midline, it is called terminology is lateral. Okay, so the example, the arms are lateral to the chest. You know, the chest is in the midline. So arms here away from midline. So the terminology is lateral. Okay. So how about intermediate? Intermediate means anything that is in between of medial and lateral. So you know medial, lateral is away, medial is the midline. So anything that is in between of both, it is called intermediate. So I give you an example. The cheekbone, you know the cheekbone is intermediate between the nose and the ears. Right? Okay. Another terminology is proximal and distal. But bear in mind, for these two terminologies, proximal and distal, you can use this to explain the upper limb and lower limb. Okay, upper limbs and lower limb as shown in the diagram here. Right? So anything that is closer to the origin of the body part of the point of the attachment, closer to the point of attachment. Okay, this is the upper limb, this is lower limb. Closer to the point of attachment, alright, upper limb attached to the main body axis, lower limb attached to the main body axis, close to the point of attachment, you call this proximal. But anything away from the point of attachment, you call it distal. Okay, because I stress this again and again because students always confuse and make a mistake, okay, between these two terminology. Alright, so here I put some more terminologies that explain the direction. I put this in the UKM folio. You can read after this, okay? Alright, let's try if you can understand the terminology we have discussed just now. Okay, let's start with the orange box. Students, can you guess what is this terminology that you can
superior?
What is it? Hello?
Superior. Superior. Is it superior?
Okay. Yes, correct. How about this?
Inferior.
Yes. Okay. Superior and inferior, correct. So how about the red box here? Anyone want to try?
Proximal and distal. Proximal and distal.
This one?
Distal.
Correct. Okay. Proximal means closer to the point of attachment. Distal means away. Okay. Correct. So how about the blue box here?
Medial and lateral.
Medial and
Lateral.
lateral, correct. Okay. Okay. So now I can see that you understand. Okay, good. All right. So we move on to, okay, first we finished the direction, anatomical direction. Now we move to the anatomical landmarks. Okay. But there are a lot of terminologies here. For health science students, you do not need to remember all this. Okay, it's just enough for you to understand, then it's okay. Because in our learning in Faculty of Health Science, it's rare for you to use this terminology like facies, or you use this terminology, the second one here, right? But I just put in here for your knowledge, okay? Because you still need to know and understand what is the terminology to describe the anatomical landmarks, okay? Okay, so here is the diagram showing all terminologies on the upper parts of the human body, right? Anterior upper parts, okay? And this is the anterior lower part. And this is the posterior, just now anterior, this one posterior upper part and posterior lower part. Okay. So I have shared already these lecture notes in UKM folio. You can check after this as well. Alright. Alright. What I want to focus more is the terminology in anatomical regions and the rest after this. Anatomical regions and section and the membranes. Okay, that is more important for you to remember and understand more on what are the terminologies that you use to in this field. Alright. So we start first. When you want to learn about anatomical regions, you need to know that there are two parts, okay, in the human body, axial part and appendicular parts. Okay, so what's the difference between axial parts and appendicular? Okay, so the main axis of our body, Okay, this one includes the head, neck, and the trunk. These are all in the axial part. All right. So the appendicular part includes the limbs, okay, the upper limbs and lower limbs. Right. Just now I mentioned. So upper limbs and lower limbs is the appendicular parts, while the main body is the axial parts. Okay. All right. What are the terminology used to explain the body section? Okay. I put here the picture. Okay. So there are four main terminologies that you can use to explain about the body section. First, the terminology is sagittal plane. Okay, what is sagittal plane? Sagittal plane is when you want to describe the division of body into left and right section. Okay, left and right section. Okay, bear in mind this terminology here in the red color is not only used to explain the body section, but you can also use it to explain the organ section. Okay, later on I will show you example of the organ. Okay. All right. So how about frontal? Or in some textbooks they put coronal. All right. So both are correct. Okay, because both describe the division of body into anterior and posterior. Okay, you see, I have put the terminology here. So if you don't understand what is anterior posterior, so you will not understand the rest of the lecture note. Okay, because just now we learned already about anatomical direction. So you know already when I put this terminology here. Okay, and what is anterior, what is posterior. Okay, so when you divide the body or organ into anterior, front, and posterior back, you use this terminology: frontal plane or frontal section, coronal plane or coronal section. All right. The third one is transverse, or in some textbooks they put it as horizontal plane. Okay, but they also in some textbook they call it as cross section. Okay, these three are correct. Okay, these three have the same meaning. Okay, so if you see why some textbook they put transverse, why some textbook they put cross section, doctor, so they are all have the same meaning. Okay, so meaning that this plane divides the body into superior and inferior, above and below. All right, and the fourth terminology is oblique plane. Okay, oblique plane is different than the three here because this plane divides the body into oblique angle, like slanted. Okay, I will show you how this oblique plane looks like. Okay, when we put the terminology here into the real image here, okay, you see just now I mentioned about sagittal, right? Divide the body into left and right. Okay, transverse or horizontal. Okay, superior and inferior, right? And frontal divides the body into anterior and posterior. Okay, and oblique here, right? In oblique angle, slanted, right? Okay, let's try if you really understand. Okay, just now I mentioned you can use this terminology not only for human body, okay, but you can use it in the any organs. Okay, so when you read a anatomy textbook, you see sometimes they put this kind of image. Okay, you know this is a brain, but sometimes in the textbook they put this position. So you need to know already. Oh, this position is what terminology? Because they cut it anterior and posterior. So let's try your knowledge if you really understand the section that I just mentioned just now. Okay. Can you guess what's the terminology used here? You know this is human brain. This is the anterior and posterior. Okay. So when you divide it like this, what you call this terminology?
Coronal.
Hello again?
Coronal.
Frontal.
Which one? I see so many answers. Which one?
Frontal.
Frontal, coronal, sagittal, or what?
Frontal and coronal.
Okay. betul. Correct. Frontal, Remember, I mentioned just now. Okay, frontal, coronal, same. Divide the body anterior and posterior. So if you see this image again, okay, anterior and posterior, because you know the brain's, this is the anterior part of the brain, this is the posterior. So when you divide it like this is frontal. Okay, let's try the second one. Okay, how about when you divide the organ into left and right? Okay, what is this?
Sagittal.
Sagittal plane.
Sagittal? Yes, correct. Sagittal. Okay, awesome. All right, last one here. What's the terminology you use when you see this image? What is this section called?
Transverse.
Transverse. Horizontal.
Transverse plane.
Correct. Transverse or horizontal section. Okay, similar. Okay, or cross section. Okay, they have three same names. Okay, transverse, horizontal, or cross section. Okay, because some textbook they put different terminology, but they are having the same meaning. All right. So far, I'm satisfied. You understand? Okay. Okay. Now we move on to the terminologies in body cavities. All right. So this is the simplified image that I have color coded into the yellow and red. Okay. So what is in yellow here? Here is the key explanation. The yellow means dorsal body cavity. Okay. And the red color is the ventral. Okay. Now I already mentioned what is the anatomical direction. Okay, students, can you remind again what is dorsal, what is ventral? What is dorsal?
Dorsal is upper part, right?
No, dorsal means
Dorsal
Front part,
belakang.
front part,
anyone want to guess?
front part.
Dorsal is the
Ventral.
back part.
It's a
Dorsal
back
should be
part.
posterior means the back part.
Okay, I want one student. I see so many voices. One student, can you answer? What is dorsal?
The dorsal is the back part.
Yes, back part. Or what's the correct words for back?
Posterior.
Posterior. Okay, good. All right. Okay. So, but in this terminology for body cavities, they use the term dorsal body cavity. But you can also explain dorsal body cavity means posterior body cavity. Okay. So, ventral body cavity means anterior. Okay, the front part. Okay. So, you know the terms. What is dorsal? What is ventral? And you need to know what is the division inside this dorsal body cavity. There are some components in the dorsal and some components in the ventral body cavities. Okay, so what are they? Okay. Okay. Actually, I have some videos. Let me check if we have time to watch it. Okay, we don't have time. I will explain first. I have shared the link in the UKM folio of this explanation. You can watch it. Okay, it's interesting because the video made with I think with the sounds and an interactive image that you can easily understand the body cavities. But I will explain in here as well. Alright, so body cavities, they have two main cavities. You know dorsal and you know ventral. Okay, so in each dorsal and ventral, there are more subdivision. Okay, so in dorsal, they have two subdivision, which is cranial cavity and vertebral or spinal cavity. Okay, cranial cavity and vertebral cavity or spinal cavity. Right? In ventral body cavity, okay, the front part has two subdivision, which are thoracic cavity and abdominopelvic cavity. Okay, let's see the image. Okay, thoracic cavity, everything here, the upper part, and the abdominopelvic cavity. All right. Okay, so that is the main division. So there are some more subdivision under the thoracic cavity. Okay, under thoracic cavity, it can be divided into pleural cavity, which holds the lung, and pericardial cavity, which holds the heart. Okay, we go back to the image, right? In the thoracic cavity, it has pleural cavity. Here contains the lung, and here pericardial cavity, right? Okay, in the thoracic cavity also you have mediastinums, okay? All right. And the lower part of the ventral body cavity, you have abdominopelvic cavity. So, if you see the image here, the thoracic cavity is divided into the abdominopelvic cavity. It is divided by a muscular layer here called diaphragm. You will learn about this in a respiratory system class, right? Right, in the abdominopelvic cavity, it is divided into abdominal and pelvic. So that's why the name here abdominopelvic. So it is a combination of abdomen and pelvic. Okay. So abdominal cavity, here is the abdominal part and here is the pelvic part. So when you combine abdominal and pelvic, the name becomes abdominopelvic, right? Here I put in the like a flow chart for you to easily understand on the ventral body cavity, because I'm sure the dorsal body cavity is easy to remember because it's just cranial and spinal. But for the ventral body cavity, it's quite a lot for you to digest. So you can see this flow chart. Okay, you can try to draw back. Okay, after this, you maybe can go to your notebook and try to draw back and whether you can understand the subdivision under the ventral body cavity. Okay, because you not only need to know the name, the subdivision, okay, the big name, thoracic, abdominal, you need to know what are the organs inside of the cavity as well. Okay. So when I ask you, let's say I ask you in quiz, okay, what are the organs inside the abdominal cavity? So you need to know what are the organs. Okay, what are the organs inside the pelvic cavity? So you need to know, right? Okay, so we move on to abdominopelvic cavity first. Okay, abdominopelvic cavity, as I said, it is two cavities here, abdomen and pelvic. All right. So we start first with the abdominal cavity, which is the superior part, okay, or the above part. Okay, so it is from diaphragm to top of the pelvic bone. All right. So abdominal cavity, it mainly contains digestive organs. All right. And you can see the image here. Okay, what are the location of the organs inside the abdominal cavity? And interestingly, in the abdominal cavity, we have actually not in abdominal cavity, abdominopelvic cavity, we have retroperitoneal organs. Okay, because in the abdominopelvic cavity, all right, any organs inside it, it is lined first by the peritoneum. Okay, the membrane that lines the abdominopelvic cavity. And everything inside this peritoneum, the organ inside this, you call intraperitoneal organs. Right? But there are also organs that are included in the retroperitoneal space. Okay, retro means here. Okay, if you heard the word retro style, 60 style is the back. Right. So means retro here means back, at the back, posterior. Okay, posterior to the peritoneum. Okay. So there are several organs that you need to remember. What are the organs in the retroperitoneal space, or we call them retroperitoneal organs. Okay. So to make you easy to remember the organs in the retroperitoneal organs, here I made the mnemonic. Okay, Set Parker. Okay. So when you know Set Parker, you know already. S stands for supernal or adrenal glands. A for aorta. You know already what are the mnemonic here stands for the retroperitoneal organs. Okay. So all these organs are included at the back of the or posterior to the peritoneum. Okay. All right. So you know already about abdominal cavity. So under the inferior portion of abdominopelvic is the pelvic cavity. Okay. So it is within the pelvic bones, all right? And in the pelvic cavity, they have several organs, okay, containing reproductive organs, okay, rectum and bladder, okay? Just now rectum is part of retroperitoneal organs. Okay. Alright. So now we move on to the terminologies that explain the body membranes. Okay. Just now I mentioned one example, the peritoneum. Okay. Okay. But in general, the body membrane terminology, okay, in the textbooks they use the word parietal and visceral. Okay, so what's the difference and what is actually the meaning of parietal and visceral? Okay, so parietal here means the membrane that lines the body cavity. Okay, you know already the names of body cavity, right? The pericardial cavity, pleural cavity, thoracic cavity. Okay, so all this cavity in human body, there is a membrane. Okay, the membrane that lines it is called parietal membrane. Okay, so I give you example here, parietal, pericardium. Okay, so pericardium is the name of the body cavity. Okay, and this is the name of the membrane. So when you see this word parietal pericardium, you know that, oh, this is the membrane that lines the body cavity in the pericardial cavity, right? Okay, so what about visceral membrane? Visceral means the terminology used to describe the lining of the organ. So that's the difference between parietal and visceral. Parietal lines the body cavity, while visceral lines the organ. Okay. So example here, visceral pericardium. So you know what visceral membrane lines the organ. What organ? Organs in the pericardium cavity. Right? So I give you example here to make you understand. Okay, what's the difference between parietal and visceral? Okay, I give you example of pericardium cavity. Pericardial cavity holds the heart. Okay, so the thick blue line here showing you the two membranes. Okay, okay, but first we go to the outside membrane. Okay, the blue line outside here, it is parietal pericardium. Okay, parietals mean the membrane that lines the cavity, which is the pericardial cavity. Okay, but how about visceral? Visceral is also a membrane, but you see the second line inside. This is the membrane that lines the organ. Okay, what organ? Heart. Okay, so that's the difference between parietal and visceral. And because human Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala jadikan manusia ni sangat special, okay? We have a special space inside the parietal and visceral, okay? There is a special space here, okay? It is called pericardial space, okay? This is the same applied to the other cavities, okay? Example, the pleural cavity, okay? Pleural cavity also they have parietal and visceral pleural cavity. And they also have the space in between of parietal and visceral, which is the pleural space. Okay. So why you need to have this space? Okay. To avoid friction. Okay. So that when your heart is pumping, it will avoid friction. Okay. All right. Okay. Now we move on to the terminologies in the abdominopelvic regions. Students, so far do you understand or not?
Yes, doctor.
Yes, inshallah.
Okay. All right, good. Okay, we move on to the what are the terminology you use, okay, to explain the 9 abdominopelvic regions, okay? So if you know the hashtag symbol, you know hashtag. Okay, this looks like hashtag, right? So these hashtag symbols resembles the 9 abdominopelvic regions. Okay, this is abdominopelvic. Okay, abdomen, pelvic. Okay, you can also explain the regions using these 9 terminologies. Okay, first, right hypochondriac region. Okay, so you don't confuse between, because you know that this is the anatomical position, this is the right part. So of course, this right part here, the name is right. Compared to here, this is left part, so the name is left hypochondrial region. Okay, and this one is right lumbar region and the left lumbar regions, and the bottom part is the right iliac region, and this is the left iliac region. Okay, but in some textbook, they put left inguinal region or right inguinal region, so both are still correct. Okay, iliac or inguinal. Okay, both are correct. Okay, and the middle part here, all right, epigastric region, the top part, the middle part, umbilical regions, and the lower part is hypogastric region. Okay, so when you want to explain the 9 abdominopelvic regions, okay, remember this hashtag symbol. Okay, then when you remember this hashtag symbol, you know already what is the name of each column here. Okay, because after this, after you know and understand and remember the name of this column, you need to know what are the organs inside this column. Okay. Okay. Here, when we put back the hashtag, we can see that, okay, the organs inside this hashtag. Okay, the name of each column. All right, but don't worry, I have put it and simplified it into this table. So you just need to read this table here. So just now I mentioned the name 9 terminologies for the abdominopelvic regions. Okay, first the right hypochondrial region. Okay, so these are the organs inside this region. Okay, and then the epigastric region, majority of the organs of stomach organs, and they contains liver and pancreas, and left hypochondrial region. Okay, part of the stomach. Okay, because you see the stomach here, majority of the stomach is in this column. Okay, yes, there is some part of the stomach here, but just a little portion. That's why I just put here part of the stomach, but majority of stomach is still in the epigastric region. Okay, and then right lumbar regions. Okay, the organs are part of the small intestine. Okay, there is also ascending colon and right kidney, and umbilical region. Okay, umbilical region, this part here, part of the pancreas, majority of small intestine. Okay, as you can see here, these are all small intestine. So majority of small intestine is included in this umbilical region. Okay, so the main organ, when I say what is the most likely main organs located in the umbilical region, so the answer here is majority of small intestine, right? And transverse colon also located in the umbilical region. Okay, how about left lumbar region? Okay, left lumbar region here. Here, okay. So the organ inside left lumbar region is part of the small intestine. Okay, you still see some part of small intestine. Okay, some part of small intestine here. Okay, but majority is still in this umbilical region. Okay, descending colon and left kidney, right? And about right iliac region, easy, appendix and cecum only. And hypogastric region, part of the small intestine, part of the sigmoid colon, bladder, and reproductive organs. Okay, because it becomes inferior now. Okay, so it has the reproductive organs. And left iliac regions, okay, contains descending colon and sigmoid colon. Okay, descending colon, sigmoid colon here. Descending, sigmoid colon. Okay. Alright. So that's it for the 9 abdominopelvic regions. So we move on to the terminologies of quadrants. Okay, apart from the regions, the 9 regions in the abdominopelvic, you have another terminology for the quadrants. Okay, when you divide your bodies when you divide the abdominopelvic cavities into quadrants, okay, the terminology are right upper quadrants, right lower quadrants, left upper quadrants, and left lower quadrant. Okay, this one, the terminology is easy to understand because it's just repetitive. Just change the word right and left according to the position, and then you just change to upper or lower. Okay, compared to this one, you need to work hard a little bit to memorize it. Okay. So again, what are the organs located inside each quadrant? Okay, because you divide the body into quadrants 4. Okay, so there are organs in each column. All right. So this one is different than the 9 regions just now. Okay, because you divide into 9 columns, but this one into 4. So the organs are different here. For right upper quadrant, okay, the organs are liver, gallbladder, right kidney, small portion of the stomach, duodenum, the head of the pancreas, ascending and transverse colon, and parts of the small intestine. Okay, and about the left upper quadrant here, left upper quadrant, okay, you have liver, stomach, pancreas, left kidney, spleen, transverse, and descending colon, and parts of the small intestine. Right. And for the right lower quadrants, you have cecum, appendix, parts of the small intestine, reproductive system. Okay. And the left lower quadrant, you have majority of small intestine, okay, some of the large intestine, and reproductive organs. Right. Okay. That's all for the terminologies. I will have a quiz after this, a Kahoot. But before that, I want to just test you if you can understand. Can you describe the position of the mouth relative to the eyes? Okay, so what is the terminology you used here, student?
Distal.
What again? Come again.
Distal.
The answer what?
Distal, is it distal?
Distal?
Inferior.
No?
Inferior.
Inferior.
Interior.
Inferior? Yeah, inferior, correct. Okay, what another alternative other than inferior?
Eyes is superior to the mouth.
What is it, students?
Superior.
Superior.
Mouth relative to the eyes. Mouth not superior to the eyes. So inferior is correct. Superior is wrong. Distal is wrong. What is one more answer here?
Proximal.
Intermediate.
Intermediate between left and right eyes.
Okay, not intermediate. Another one, the sibling.
Medial.
Yes, medial.
Okay.
Correct. Okay, medial is the answer. Okay, medial, correct. One more, inferior, so correct. Okay, because I asked you the question here, the mouth relative to the eyes, no, eyes relative to the mouth. So mouth relative to the eyes, inferior is correct, medial is correct. Okay, student. So remember, okay, this is another tips. When you want to answer questions, whether in exams, okay, you need to read the question properly. Okay, you jangan baca cepat-cepat you nak jawab. Okay, you read the question. Okay, the question here, mouth related to the eye. So you know, no, eyes related to the mouth, mouth related to the eye. So you know the correct answer if you read the questions carefully. Okay. All right. All right. Let's play Kahoot to see if you understand our lecture today. Again, I will give a Grab voucher to the first winner, okay? We wait for the game pin. Okay, student, you just go to you just Google Kahoot. Then you can open the website and put the pin number here. Okay, I can see we have about 100 something, right, students? So we will wait the number here until we reach 100. So it's important for you, okay, while we're waiting for your friends, it's important for you after each class, you can start doing revision. Okay, don't wait until near the exam to do the revision. Okay, I think it's better if you do it early. Okay, because you still you can refresh your memory, okay? And if you don't understand, you can answer the you can ask the lecturer, okay, early, not near the exam. Okay, we have reached 120 now.
Excuse me,
Let's
doctor.
see how
How
many.
to do it?
Yes, I'll have 155. Yes, who is it?
Google Town.
We have 155, but I can see the number. Okay, the number is stopped now. Okay, I think we can start now if there is no more students. I think we wait a little bit. Okay, I will start now, okay? Choose the wrong terminology for anatomical direction. Okay, directions. Okay, this first question is very easy. All right, good. So most of you answered correctly below, okay? Below, yes, you can use it, but not in anatomy terminology, okay? Let's see who's the first winner here. OG. Okay, well done, OG. Okay, true or false? Supine, I mentioned supine just now, is the position when you are lying down and face down. Is it correct? Okay. The answer is false. It's not face down, it's face up. But some of you still answered it wrongly. Okay. So make sure you read back after this, student, the notes. So let's see who's the first winner. Capri. Okay, well done, Capri. Okay, choose the incorrect terminology related to body sections. Incorrect. Okay, body section. Okay. Just now I mentioned about the body section. Remember the brain image just now? Oh no. Okay, still majority of you answered correctly, but I want these students, maybe you can do more revision after this, okay? Okay, vertical plane is the correct answer, okay? So students, what is the terminology you use to explain the division left and right?
Sagittal.
Sagittal plane.
Editor.
Yes. Okay, good. Okay, good. Let's see who's the winner. Okay, Cha. Okay, awesome. Okay. Appendicular part includes upper limb and lower limb. Okay, I also mentioned this just now. Let's see if you understand. All right. Okay, true. Okay. These 32 students need to do more revision. Okay, appendicular part includes upper limb and lower limb. Correct. All right, Amri, new winner here. Okay, well done. Next. Parietal membrane is the membrane that lines the body cavity. Okay. True or false? Body cavity. Okay, I mentioned about two membranes, two terminologies just now for the membrane. Right, the answer is true. Okay, not visceral but parietal. Okay, so well done for this 102 students. So the winner is Akila. Okay, we have new winner in each question. So let's see if Akila can maintain. Okay, true or false? The appendix is located in the left iliac region. Okay, remember the hashtag, the 9 region, the hashtag symbol, left iliac region. Is it correct? Is it left? Or is it right? All right, the answer is false. Okay, it's not in the left, it's right. Okay. Let's see the, okay, Akila, well done. Okay, 2 more questions. The pancreas is one of the retroperitoneal organs. Okay, remember Seth Parker? So is pancreas one of the retroperitoneal organs? Yes or no? Three, two, one. Yes. Okay. So well done. Okay, majority of you answered correctly. Okay. Oh no, Akila. No, now Ha. Okay. Well done, Ha. Okay. Last question. The fingers are distal to the elbow. True or false? Distal. Distal means far away from the point of attachment. Upper limbs, eh? True or false? Yes, true. Okay, correct. You understand. So most of you understand it true. Okay, so this 18 student, you need to do more revision. Okay. So let's see who's the winner. Number 3, TR. Okay, well done, TR. Number 2, WK. Okay, number 1. Ha. Okay, well done, Ha. Okay, congratulations, Ha. Okay, who's Ha? Can I have Ha here? Introduce yourself, Ha.
Hi, doctor. I'm Shini.
Shini, are you Ha?
Yeah.
Yesterday you are Hiho, now you are Ha. Is it you
Huh?
again?
Yeah.
Okay, for students who are not here today, biomed students, yesterday Xin Ying also the winner for the Kahoot quiz. So today Xin Ying again, okay, becomes the winner for the Kahoot. Okay, Xin Ying, you good, eh? Laju tangan you.
Oh, just like
Alright, Xin
me.
Ying, later on I will text you the Grab voucher, okay?
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you,
congrats Xin
doctor.
Ying. Okay. Xin Ying, you are in physiotherapy program, right?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Okay, students, do you have any more questions? Have you filled in the attendance form? Because I will close the link on 11 a.m. Okay. So make sure class rep, you can remind your students to fill in the attendance form. So for today's recording and the lecture notes and the video, I will share in the UKM folio. Okay, hopefully for those students who answered it wrongly just now in the Kahoot quiz, you can do more revision after this, okay? All right, with that, I end my lecture. Okay, students, thank you for your attention.
Thank you, doctor.
Thank you, doctor.
Thank you, doctor.
Thank you,
Thank you, doctor.
See you tomorrow, okay?
Thank you, doctor.
Thank you, doctor.
Okay.
Thank you, doctor.
Thank you, doctor. Thank you, doctor.